Hi, I'm Gianluca Fiorelli. Welcome back to the third session. Today, our guest is coming from India, a country that we usually it's funny the relationship that the Western SEO world has with India, because from one side, if you think well, many of the most important, even CEO in search engine, just think at Google, are coming from India. In the past, we had a wonderful Indian representative for Google Analytics, Avinash Kaushnik. But on the other side, there is still this stereotype about Indian, which are, let's say, the ones doing the things in the background of the big agency and big consultant of SEO. Something that I don't like. So I wanted to invite one of the best representatives of the Indian SEO world, a wonderful person who has a lot of knowledge. She's the founder of Missive Digital, an SEO, let's say, growth marketing agency, not only SEO, specialized in content strategy consulting. The agency is also working, coaching with content teams, and they specialize in tech and SaaS companies. This person is Himani Kankaria. How are you doing?
Yay, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. If today, the day of recording of this episode is 10th of December, and just had a little break or a little vacation going back to Rome, and was fine. I'm rested. I'm prepared for Christmas time, which is going to be crazy.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
What about you?
I just finished a holiday and now just finishing things off so that at least I can also enjoy my Christmas time.
Okay, perfect. And maybe at the end of our conversation, I will ask you, how is Christmas in India? But before, a classic question, the question where we've always start the conversation. How SEO is treating you lately with all the craziness?
Okay, so in that case, I would relate to Ferrari World because I just went there and
Uh-huh.
attend all the rides. And I feel it is the same feeling sitting on a roller coaster and you are just going here, left, right, center. You even don't know where you are going to land. But there is one thing, one feeling that is there is at least the noise will be cutting out, right? The processes, the practices that we've been following, which has been working, which has been authentic, they are going to be continued, and due to which the noises or the chaos that it had in the entire industry following those practices which don't even work, right, they will all be wiped off straight away. So that is a good part, I would say. But yeah, it's a learning curve that we have to adapt with different platforms. We have to adapt with different sub features that are coming up, but the foundation of SEO is not changing, it is the same. So that is something that is we're really happy about.
Yeah. Yes, it's currently the common denominator of everything during these past already 12 months is confusion in many cases. But I mean, confusion may be created by too many people, too many not expert people talking about everything. And when you dig a little bit, especially in the case of the people that I call the AI bros, people who never did SEO actually. So why they are talking about SEO if they never did SEO? But let's go about talking about you. Okay. Missive Digital is already almost 8 years that you are running the agency. But question, maybe also in the context of what was my introduction. And so how you decided to move from consultancy or working with other entities and to create your own agency, and how hard this can be in a country like India, if it's harder than any other places in the world.
Right. So to start with, it's like after 7 years of my journey, I started into a consulting thing. And in that case, it was like when you are a consultant, you are the face of that organization, right? And you deal with all the strategies. You go out, hire the other agencies, you hire team, you manage them and everything, right? Being a consultant, you face the bandwidth issue. You don't feel that you can scale after a particular period or after a certain level of clients that you are handling. In that case, COVID happened. And I would say that since we already had an agency before that, but we didn't name that. We had a little team, but not, it was like really not big team or something like that, just a bit of freelancers or something. But then officially Missive came into existence when we actually coined that brand name. So it was during COVID that a lot of our customers who used to tease me, do prank with me that, honey, let it be. You won't be able to find a team that you really want to work with. Because at that point in time in India, we used to see agencies selling 10 keywords per month, 15 keywords per month, 20, 40 keywords per month kind of packages, right? So it was getting difficult for me to identify and get a right team who would do, like, say, who would do justify to the effort that is put, the ROI that we want to achieve, the business metrics, the conversions. I mean, you cannot target just 10 keywords or 15 keywords and forget about the 500 or 1000 queries that needs to be focused on to get the exact business outcomes. Right. And since I was not able to find it and I was struggling with bandwidth issues as well, one time sitting with my husband, he was like, why didn't you get a team? Right. And since he was from the business background, running traditional trading business, he was from that business mindset and he pushed me into this. And we sit down, we understood the entire model and everything. And then we discussed in deep. I helped him understand how this entire industry works, how I have been consulting clients. And then we decided that, okay, let's get this official and get this rolled out. And that's how with my husband, we started Missive Digital. That is how it came into picture.
Cool, cool, cool. And well, India is a booming market, booming country. I mean, it's part of all the contradiction that any fastly growing country may have. But how did you see the evolution of SEO, of the SEO community in India, which was maybe huge, enormous, but maybe not organized? Something that seems to starting to be more classic SEO community with meetup, with conferences. How would you describe now the SEO community in India?
Right. So I would say it has, like, when I started, why I entered into this industry 15 years ago, that was the time when a lot of meetups used to happen. But of course, it was not just limited to SEO, but it was overall digital marketing stuff that they used to cover. And I used to attend meetups, right? There were Twitter meetups, that were social media, there were digital marketing, there were SEO meetups, such like that. But then came a period which was a complete silence from, I think, the panda or penguin updates. Things were little silent for a couple of years. And then, like, from 2016 or 17, we started seeing that hype coming up again, back, the people coming together. There was this meetup that happened, not meetup, the conference that Semrush did in 2019 in Bangalore. That was the, like, very crucial time when the entire SEO community from entire India, they came all together in massive number. And that's when people started knowing each other more, right? So that started, and I think COVID did magic in terms of there were so many online conferences, online meetups that were happening. So then a lot of people started getting out, sharing knowledge, and people started knowing each other. So now it's like much stronger where people stay together, people stick together, they help each other, they, like, say, support each other. Even I would like to mention the women part of the community as well. That there are so many, like, say, women SEOs who are coming out, helping each other, and they are really eager to build this entire community thing and take this to a next level as well. Even I had a word with Arij about it, that how about having WTS in India?
Mm.
women in tech SEO, right? So yeah, I mean, it's like now it is getting more warmer and more stronger.
Cool, cool. Nice to know. Yes, I remember that event. I remember the event of Bangalore because tried hey, to talking with Fernando Angulo of
Yeah.
SEMrush, that he was behind one of the people organizing also this event, and tried to jump in, but I wasn't lucky. But yes, I remember that event, and it's already quite a few years that passed. And I remember a constant attending for many years of Moscow when I started to see people coming from India to attend Moscow, so coming out or coming to European conferences if they could, and so on. Because yes, it's a huge community, and not just because of a statistical number. You are so many, the most populated country in the world. So statistically, maybe the biggest number of SEO are in India. But yes, it's like the classic community that strangely, because you don't have the problem of a language somehow,
Yeah.
as a Spanish community or Italian community or French or other country, even in Europe, may have, but somehow some sort of, what to call it? It's not coming to my mind. This sort of, when you're good, but you don't judge yourself too good. What is this name? Well, you maybe understood me. When you are good, but you're afraid to show that you're good because you don't believe you are good. So this kind of syndrome that many,
Yeah.
I feel,
Imposter
also in
syn-
what?
imposter syndrome.
Yes, this imposter syndrome that maybe the many, especially also the very good ones in the SEO community in India may have. And it's nice to see that, okay, now we are as good as anybody, I don't know, in Arkansas or in London or something like this. It, it's really good. But the most diversity we have in the community, the better, because so we can share and discover from experience in other countries, things that maybe we can also implement and test in ours.
Right. And
So,
that's a lot of conferences that has now happened even in this year. If I talk about entire 2025, right? We had
yeah,
India SEO conference in January, SaaS SEO Alliance in September, Amaze conference in October. So like now that has something that diversity or we talk about that everything has become that more inclusive.
cool, perfect. And so, Missive Digital is decided to go with a very, very specific niche, which is not a small niche, but it's a growing niche, which is tech and SaaS. And as I was saying, you are also focusing, even if you surely touch all all the field of verticals of SEO, you are really then specialized in everything content and SEO. And I imagine content and the AI search. What is the classic mistake you see tech and SaaS company do when it comes to content? And what is instead the correct type of content? I know it's a very generic question because depending on the company, it's one content or the others. But if you should find some common denominator in this type of industry, what is the classic mistake and what is usually the best type of content for these companies?
Right. So, the biggest, like, say, concern that we always see when we onboard any SaaS or tech company. So, I would like to bifurcate them when it comes to SaaS, it is just a SaaS. And when it comes to tech, it is IT companies as well and other tech service agencies as well. So, when it comes to SaaS, the biggest concern we see is that they, from day one, even if they are investing in SEO, their content strategy is mostly focused on bottom of the funnel content. Well, that's not incorrect, I would say. Of course, we should have bottom of the funnel content, but I think it should be also balanced with top of the funnel and middle of the funnel content as well. In top of the funnel, I'm not talking about very, very top of the funnel, like talking about what, why, and all of those things, benefits and everything. But rather, there are many things that an ideal customer profile would want to know about, right? That is the first step where they would be able to see that you exist, right? Then it takes to middle funnel of the middle funnel content, and then it goes to bottom of the funnel content, right? But the balance is almost negligible when we onboard them. I mean, of course, customer acquisition is the ultimate KPI, but then it's like you have to do so much performance marketing to make sure that your bottom of the funnel content is being in front of them. But to bring in organic traffic, Google traffic, AI traffic, it is a mix of all the content that you have to make sure that they are present. Coming to tech companies, the biggest issue that we see is the reverse. They have too much of very, very top of the funnel content. If I talk about, like, say, for example, one IT company where they would write about why Flutter is important for an app, why someone should use Python for an AI project. I mean, these are very basic information. Now even AI answers it, right? So rather focusing on such very, very top of the funnel content or very basic queries, it is very important that you pick up the use cases that your sales team has been seeing, your product team or the service team is focusing on, how they are serving, how your product team is building the products for other companies, right? So that kind of stories need to come out, even if you're writing top of the funnel content, middle of the funnel content, or bottom of the funnel content. So these two separate things that we do or see for both the industries. And if I have to mention that which is the best one, of course, best is too subjective, but I would like to mention that one thing that both can do is balance out, right? You keep, like, depending on the KPIs that you have defined, that okay, there has to be this kind of this much organic traffic, there has to be this much conversions happening. Yeah, this is the amount of MQLs that you are looking to generate. So based on all of those KPIs, we need to build the content for both of them, whether it is tech companies or whether it is a SaaS company. So that's how balance needs to be there, so that not one channel is performing and then the rest are ignored. It should not happen that way.
Indeed, indeed, because sometimes there is very, the concept is correct, the so-called product-led SEO is totally fine, is totally correct, especially for instance in this last case of the tech companies. But sometimes you see this, maybe because people is seeing that AI overviews, AI mode, ChatGPT, and so on are substantially covering a big part of the informational sphere, so the top of the funnel. But then we forget that EEAT also means that you have to show your expertise. You cannot show your expertise, your experience. The experience is maybe for the middle and the bottom. Let's using your denomination, because where you present case study, you present specific how to resolve this problem with internal case study or studies that you did. But then you have also to show off that you are authoritative. So you must create this. I don't know. Instead of writing about why you have to use Python for programming, it's how Python is evolving, or rather, of the evolution of the implementation of Python in the etc. So all this kind of content that is cannot be replaced by AI, maybe.
Exactly.
So it can
Yes.
be citable, mentionable, and so on. So this is the kind, and this is substantially top of the funnel because it's not really something that is bringing to you
Exactly.
immediately, but it's something that is helping creating your authority. And I mean, we always talk about visibility during these last 12 months.
Oh,
But
yes.
if you are not visible in the beginning, when you start to be visible, maybe another competitor was able to be visible all along the search journey. So who is going to choose the person? One that is popular immediately just at the end, or someone that is so constantly and maybe also visited the website in the previous step. So I don't know. I think it's logic, and I don't understand why so many are trying to forget the informational content and so on. I think it's silly because I'm containing myself and not saying anything first. But mm, Instead, you say also that with the agency, you do a lot of coaching for
Yes.
content teams. And sometimes I do that as a consultant, especially when I collaborate with companies that have, let's say, a dedicated content team in-house. And I don't know if you agree with me. Sometimes the more than teaching new things is, I'm inventing the word, unteaching them things that they know or things to know about how to write for the web. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have to make them unlearn the things that they have been following. And they have got those stringent SOPs to follow, that you need to have these many queries in the content. You need to have only certain length of paragraphs. You need to stick to some word count. I mean, there are so many such restrictions given to the writers. And it's like then they are entirely out of their zone of being a writer. They have almost forgot how to naturally write content, because they have to keep certain things in mind. And when you are stick, or when you have restrictions uh, to experiment, if you have restrictions of research, if you have restrictions of bringing in value, then of course, no matter how much content you create, or how much effort you put as SEO team as well, it will, I mean, lead you nowhere. Right. So, I mean, we have to literally scrap all the SOPs that they have been given. Right. And we have to literally go back to the basics, that forget about the queries. You don't, as a writer, you don't need to worry about the queries. You need to worry about the audience. One single ideal customer profile that you have to think when you are writing. Because if you're talking to that one person, you will be able to do a conversation and not just paste those words from those AI tools, because that doesn't create a connection. That doesn't create that engagement between a reader and the content. And that leads to no ROI.
Yeah, yeah, completely. And yes, and usually it's the poor writers because at the end of the day, it's not even their fault because they are so commanded by from someone above to do something like that, and then the results are not going to be that good as projected. And then they are guilty because they didn't do that. I mean, you told me to do this. And when you also says, because I was reading your and watching, or, oh, this is also because you, as an agency, for instance, so you use quite a lot Instagram too, as an agency. And I wanted to know how much this integration with, let's say, content on the website. So let's say classic content photo also for positioning yourself in classic SEO, and the combination of the synergy between other channels, which can be social media, but can be also YouTube, it can be also other channels. How much has it increased in your, let's say, in your strategy plan, this kind of collaboration? And what kind of results you have seen, because maybe with numbers, we can help also our listeners to understand why omnichannel is so important now.
Right, that's right. So I think since 1.5 years, we have started integrating social media, and specifically because we are focusing on B2B SaaS and tech companies, there LinkedIn and X matters a lot. Though Instagram matters to pull and attract the talent, but we have heavily been focusing on X and LinkedIn, and majority of the time for LinkedIn. We have started integrating it since last 1.5 years. And to be very honest, if I have to mention the metrics, or I would say the KPIs that we have seen happening, is first is we have started focusing on personal brand of the founders or the top management as well. Right. So what is happening is the brand is credibly visible. So the moment there is a conversation happening with the founder or the sales team in that company, they are able to quickly recognize that, okay, this is the brand that we are talking to. This is the company that we are talking to. So the trust building has already happened. So the conversion rates of the sales team has increased massively. Like I would say that we've been working for one of the clients on this like for more than 2 years now. And they have seen at least a 12% of increase when sales team go and talk to them month on month. I'm talking that the ratio that they are seeing, the difference, right? It's 12% increase or in the speed at which conversions happen, right? So that we have seen. When it comes to LinkedIn, of course, LinkedIn and other type of content that we create, like say white papers and everything, people have been sending, the sales team have been running campaigns on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. They have been pushing out white papers there. And there also we have seen that the response rate is better than the previous outreach, because here they are not doing direct sales pitch, but then they are able to do a better demand gen kind of activities, where we have able to see at least 1.2x of better results than what they used to see it previously. And of course, the brand reputation, right? When someone wants to integrate with a B2B SaaS or tech company, the sales cycle is not quick. Unlike SaaS products, someone would sign up for a free trial and then they might see if it works or not. And then they would buy it or they would just not go ahead with it. But when it comes to service industry, the buying cycle is long, right? So in that case, when the brand reputation is already built, you are visible in AI, you are visible on Google, you are visible on LinkedIn, everywhere, right? So imagine the kind of people and the conversation that happens. And brand mentions have drastically improved in LLMs, which has built up the brand reputation, and that is straight away helping them get conversions for the from the pages which are not even ranking on Google. So we published a couple of content pieces, like say 3 months ago, in just 1 month or 18 days, I would say. We were able to see conversions happening from ChatGPT from the targeted country, very niche and very qualitative lead, right? So brand reputation is building up really fast and better. And I think it is performing better than what Google used to perform, like say the previous time.
Yes, yes, yes. It's something that I noticed too, especially in the B2B market. And it's extremely important. And sometimes we were before talking about they teaching the content teams. Sometimes you have, I'm sure it happened also to you, they teaching some businessman or CEO, even a CEO, how to not use, for instance, LinkedIn in order to avoid, because one aspect of LLMs that sometimes comes out, but some not so much as I would like was coming out, is that LLM is the ultimate online reputation management vertical. Because what we want to see is how a brand is cited and mentioned in respect with as a brand, just that, but also in relation to their services, their topic, and so on. And because LLMs pick up from everywhere, and maybe a too vocal CEO who is not able to really manage, for instance, emotion or reaction on social media can be a huge, huge damage. A classic case, Elon Musk, for instance, but there are also many, many smaller Elon Musk who substantially destroy all the attempts a brand is trying to have for trust and the credibility, and with some using as a is it was a political arena with LinkedIn posts. So I'm sure you has had also to do this kind of coaching and
Right.
how this kind of coaching with, because one thing is when you're treating with a group of people who are really wants to learn things, but sometimes how can you teach this kind of things to someone who being a VP or CMO or founder or a CEO, and usually with something with really already built belief about what is working for me. How can you they make them learn and learn what to do?
Right. So here also there are two scenarios. There are larger companies where they don't manage their own LinkedIn, where their content teams or the social media teams manage their LinkedIn. So there the challenge is little less because you are already training them for other piece of content as well. So it becomes easier for you to teach them that this is how your communication needs to be. You have to think like founder, you have to think like a VP and something like that. When it comes to teaching CEOs and CTOs, CXOs, VP, and everyone, so here sometimes what happens is sometimes they just come up with ideas that, okay, we need to push this. And initially, when we hesitate, they are like, no, no, that founder had posted it. We can also post it. I'm like, okay, let's go try. And when we try, we see that it has not performed well. So that's where we showcase them the results that, okay, see this, this is what has happened. And this is what your other post has been working. So usually what happens is that couple of clients who have just come to us for LinkedIn marketing, in that case as well, we have to make them understand that you cannot go and post that you are exploring Bali, you are exploring Dubai. No, you cannot write that. LinkedIn is a very professional network. There has to be certain level of depth, connection, or some value that the audience would get, right? For the time that they have invested to see your post, right? So you have to understand who is reading, why they are coming to you, why they are reading your post, right? And you have to curate content accordingly. It's not that what we want to put for our audience, but it is all about what our audience want to know from us, right? How they see you, how you want to position, right? Like say for a couple of CEOs, we have defined that these people needs to be showcased as someone who is authority in the industry, and this is how your content should be. You cannot always educate, you cannot always influence. So there has to be a mix of everything that we have to focus on, where you also motivate your team, where you always also sometimes set the industry standards. Similarly, there are some founders who are not very comfortable with English language, right? So in that case, you have to create content which is minimal, because otherwise you will not, people will not feel that I'm talking to the same person whom I have ever met online or offline. So you have to bring that balance and you have to make them understand either with your data or with your experience that this is how it is.
Yeah. And talking again about content still, and I saw that you as an agency, but also you as a person, you always talk about data driven, research oriented content. So that kind of content we were also talking before. So, what kind of impact you saw apart from classic rankings? And so, classic search, how much this type of strategy is impacting on visibility in LLMs? Why? If you have an hypothesis, surely you have your hypothesis. And what kind of approach you have when you are designing a content strategy?
So I would say I would really like to mention this, which I already mentioned when talking about the type of content, which is use case specific content. So whether we are creating top of the funnel content, middle of the funnel content, bottom of the funnel content, or even any type of media content that we are creating, we have heavily focused on adding a use case to every section that we create, right? So like say, for example, we work with one of the IT companies where we have been already a leader in the space, but then it's like we are building on their brand reputation as well, brand credibility as well, and improvising the value on and the depth that their content team is creating. Right. So in that case, when you're already an established player, when you are looking to build that brand reputation, you have to showcase what you have already done. Right. As you mentioned, EEAT aspects needs to be there in the content, right? And that comes from experience, your authority, your experts, right? So that's what we have incorporated in all of our content. That whether we are creating a blog, whether we are creating a case study, whether we are creating a white paper or something, we are making sure that real life insights, real life project inputs are always there in the content, so that there is this EEAT aspect is also taken care of. And also such things have helped us generate leads as well. So whether it is MQLs or SQLs, we were able to be visible in LLMs, and we have got really great results. Even if when the content is not ranking on Google, but it is still helping us drive sales. So use case specific content has been helping for most of our clients now.
Cool, cool, cool. Yes, also because of going more in the specific of semantic search, it's also because it's a very good way to connect to different entities, but related in the topic, etc., etc. And obviously, should be also done with ideally the client of a case study. So the IT company, their client for the case study, also entering in the conversation and maybe not really saying we work with IT company, blah, blah, blah. That would be the ideal, but maybe supporting with a testimonial in your case study, maybe supporting you with a, mm, maybe if not on your website, but yes, maybe on the LinkedIn post of a client company,
Yeah.
etc., etc. We recently worked with this IT company and we did this. So sort of not just a blatant recommendation, but something like a, a, a version, a LinkedIn version of a case study from the client and not from the IT company. But
Yeah.
would be interesting in order to make the match. And I found, yes, that especially in the high tech company, it's interesting to create all this kind of data informed, data driven content, which is really pushing out your expertise in something with maybe, as I was saying, how Python has been started to be introduced, or what are the new techniques that are going to be introduced, or the least new threat in cybersecurity is available. And but making something which is regularly returning, it is the returning of the content is important in order to establish a sort of costume in order for all the journalists to return to your content to see how
Yeah.
things have been updated and so on.
Right.
And instead, when it comes to software as a service, we were seeing a classic for me, especially for SaaS, is as for instance in high tech, but B2B, the best content is usually hidden in some PDF. In the SaaS companies, the best content is usually buried in a developer or help subdomain. How you are eventually repurposing the hidden gems that are in this subdomain in the main communication for the main website.
Right.
Y-
So you can complete.
But no, I'm finished. So I'm curious to know how you convince them that some things that is maybe super specific in a help page can be reused for, let's say, a specific FAQ page in the main website. Because sometimes I saw this kind of company as the subdomain ranking better than the main domain, but the problem that the subdomain like developer or help are not meant for conversion. So the potential conversion are losing and, and disappearing because there is no conversion funnel in both subdomain. So how you, let's say, instead of creating new content, how you repurpose this kind of content?
Right. So these are the content most of the time. What happens is they don't have larger search volumes all the time. If they have help documents, yes, it is like help documents definitely have larger search volume queries. But then if we have to choose between both of them, which one to make sure that which page ranks, what we usually do is maybe in the introduction of the content, or we try and dedicate one section where we literally add the data that we have added in the help page, and we bring that data into that particular blog or content. That is one way that we do it. Another is we curate the entire new topic based on what we have written in the help document. So that we do it even specifically to be visible in LLMs as well, because as I mentioned, use case specific content. In that case, we identify which type of content matches which ICP, and what that ICP would be actually needing to know when they land on that particular help document. Right. So, based on that analysis and a discussion with the sales team and the product team, we try and inculcate in separate and different types of blogs. So it could be at different places. We have used in comparisons as well when there are versus kind of blogs, right? Like say HubSpot versus Salesforce, right? So we try and include sections from the help document as well. That, okay, this is what we have seen when it comes to comparison. This is what we see from the help document of HubSpot, and this is the help document that we see from Salesforce, right? So we try and connect those information as well. And so there are different types of content is also created. And also there are times where we also source them as well.
And now the 1 million question. We always know, because Google is a genius in this kind of things, of definition, that you have to write quality content. Okay. So with 15 years of experience, but also considering the evolution during these 15 years of experience, do you understood what Google really means with quality content? And now that also other players entered, what is the quality content that it really pays?
Right. So I would say, I don't know what for what Google is the quality content, but what I understand what is a quality content is when you are able to justify and answer the query that the user had when they wanted to search for a particular query, right? If that purpose is solved, that is what we call a quality content, because just updating and optimizing would not justify, or just being visible on page one would not necessarily justify the quality of the content, right? But if someone searching for it, if they land on the page, if they are able to engage with your content, if they are able to scroll more on your page, if the content scroll depth is better, if the engagement is better seen on heat maps, if the user recording shows different types of engagement happening on your page, and then they are taking any kind of action, that is where the satisfaction level of user is measured. And that is what I consider as a quality content, even if it is one visitor, whether it is 10 million visitors.
Indeed, indeed. And talking about AI, how much are you integrating the concept of entity and semantic search in the agency work? And that how much are you using now the AI tools, let's say from the classic API of Gemini to using ChatGPT as a coworker and so on? How are you dealing with AI as a tool, but also with a semantic in the background? So entity search, entity connection, which is becoming so important right now. How do you do it? And how do you put somehow the human in the loop, which is maybe the most important thing?
Right. So even in this morning today as well, I was talking to one of the teams, and I literally told them this line that the thought process should always be yours, because that is something that LLMs or any AI tools cannot generate by their own, right? So thought process should also be us humans who would be giving them, and then they should be just executing it. You can also ask them to research something for you. You can also ask them to create something for you. But then the art always comes from the imagination or the thought process of someone creating it, right? And that's when humans should always be there to give the thought process and also to validate whether whatever the art that you wanted to get from LLMs, whether it has been created or not, right? So that's where we use LLMs and all the other AI tools. And when it comes to entity search and semantics and all of those things, I think it's like pretty the same that we use for classic and traditional SEO, where we focus on building the brand entity to build that brand visibility. And we curate all the content, all the website architecture and everything around the same. So that has not majorly changed.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about you. You live in Ahmedabad. I don't know if I pronounced it well. Yeah, Ahmedabad. So you are not an agency founder. You are, let's say, the, the ambassador of your city, and you have to invite people like me and from other countries. What do you really love of your city?
Food. Yes. We have amazing food and we have so many varieties. And it's like, even there are so many dishes, which is something that people take from here to their cities, their countries. You might have heard about kakara, you must
Mhm.
have heard about dokla and khaman. And this is winter going on, and we eat untiu over here, which is like the well known dish in winters. So we have that. And of course, we have beautiful hearts.
Okay. And I remember because when we met in Barcelona, I remember that you were talking about hoping to travel more. You already spoke, for instance, in Brighton, if I'm not wrong. Now in November, you spoke in International Search Summit. And if you have to dream, where would you like to speak?
Next,
Yes.
Moscon,
Ha! Which one, London or New York?
New York.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. I assure you, I spoke at Moscow when it was still in Seattle.
Wow.
And I mean, it was bigger than the last edition. So the classic, old classic Moscow, and it's quite impressive. One, because it's Moscow, and so it's the mother of all the big conferences. And second, because the, the amount of people was incredible. But let's talking about just a last question. What were your fear when you were going to talk in a audience that is not your comfort zone? Because you are obviously and rightly super considered in the Indian SEO community. You are also well known in the, let's say, global community. But when you go always from your comfort zone, your country, with classic people that you are used to talk with, what were your fears going out and jump yourself in this pool of not people that you know virtually but never met? And
Yeah.
and how you overcome, maybe because this is the kind of suggestion and as personal experience that maybe can push other people from India, from other countries that I don't have this imposter syndrome to start and jump a shark.
Right, that's right. I mean, even I had the same first fear that whether I am going to deliver something that they would want to know, or am I going to say the same things that they already know? I mean, how am I going to sound? Am I going to sound a new beginner? Whether people will be able to understand what I'm saying, whether people will be able to connect with me, would my talk be able to give any kind of new thing to learn for the audience? So all of those fears that usually everyone has it, and even I had the same things initially as well, and had those tickling happening in stomach and everything. But to be very honest, more than me, the best thing that has always happened is the audience. The audience has always supported everyone who stands on stage with that cheer, loud welcome, that I never felt that I'm not going and talking in the country, place, or the stage where I don't have my comfort zone. The entire audience make me feel so comfortable that I never have ever felt that I'm coming from India and I'm not, like, say, known to anyone. And all those fears, they just go away when you see that people are very, very welcoming, and then they be with you, cheer for you, vote for you. I still remember when Bengo whistled when I was just climbing that stage to speak at International Search Summit. Right. To be very honest, for me, that changed my entire energy to deliver that session. Right. So those things have helped me. The India community who has always, supported me. All my friends, Manish. There are so many SEO community people, Amit, Jaydeep, and there are so many people who have always helped me and cheered for me. made me deliver sessions. I still remember when I first did my SEMrush webinar, SEMrush conference, and something like that. So it's all because of the audience and the community that keeps supporting you. And you just have to go out and share the knowledge that you have, because our community, our entire world's SEO community is very welcoming, very nice, very helping, right? So all those fear will always be there, right? But then you have people who will be there for you.
Yeah, yes, always, always. We are a strong community, very opinionated, because I sincerely I never saw so many polemics in other communities like the one in SEO. But usually we are very respectful one each other, and yes, it's a very supportive community. Imani, was a great pleasure to have you as my guest, mine advanced web ranking guest here for this session. I really hope to have another opportunity in the future, and let's see what happens in between.
Yes, absolutely. It was really pleasure and having here, and of course to know you and learn from you. So that is the biggest pleasure that I have.
Don't make me blush.
But you look cool in pink blushing.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you to all of you who have listened to this episode with Himani Kankaria. And remember, this is my influencer moment. Remember to ring on the bell and to subscribe to the channel. And see you in the next episode. Bye bye.